There's no shortage of weird indie horror games to play during the Halloween season, which is great for me as a lover of the genre, medium, and holiday. This is my favorite time of the year, and I usually hunker down with as much horror media as I can get my hands on once October is upon us. I listened to the Exorcist audiobook, watched tons of movies. I can heartily recommend A Field in England if you want something truly out there, and I can say Terrifier 3 should be avoided by all but the fiercest of gorehounds. But you're here for me to talk about video games. From the selection of titles I perused this month, there's one sure standout, a sick little fever dream from September 2024 called Mouthwashing. It's important to me that I don't spoil things too much because this is as much an adventure mystery as it is a horror story. What I'll say is you're following a space crew in the future who, on a routine expedition, is part of a mysterious crash that leaves them stranded and awaiting rescue. The story is told non-linearly and jumps from a couple of characters as well as changing dates often. It should feel convoluted and jarring, but the developers at Wrong Organ have a stern hand on the pacing that keeps it engaging with each major shift. Much of your time is spent uncovering the events that caused the crash and how the crew has managed since. Don't get me wrong, the light moments are few, but there's enough that it lends humanity to the characters as they stumble through hell. The game is avant-garde in many ways, at once seemingly taking influence from things like Skinamarink and Danny Boyle's Sunshine, while clearly having a love for the games of Puppet Combo. And for things like Signalis or Stay Out of the House that have been emulating the look of PlayStation 1 graphics lately, this might be the most striking art design of them all. It's enrapturing winding through this Nostromo-esque ship in the first person, and the game was constantly subverting my expectations. Lots of experimental diversions, a twisted narrative, and some wild puzzles that stumped me a couple of times. This is a production that proves you don't need modern graphics to make something that feels alive and vital. It takes a lot to make me want to pull out my corkboard, but I truly wanted to unravel this story. Oh, and as a sound designer myself, I was riveted by the nearly constant and diverse ambience throughout Mouthwashing. It doesn't feel out of place for a game that would have come from the era it is playing with, while being rich and varied. I would say this plays more in the disturbing side of things rather than outright frightening, but it has some solid spooks, and this is not for the faint of heart. If this wasn't handled with such care, it would have easily felt edgy with an eye roll and juvenile. This has a deft hand though, and wants you to feel like your time was well invested. Which, by the way, you could play this in one night. Please do look at content warnings before trying this one out, but if it sounds at all interesting to you, this is the kind of thing we deserve from our walking simulators. It'd be awesome if bigger studios had even half the creativity of Mouthwashing. When it comes down to it, horror is my favorite genre, specifically the indie stuff. This is kind of a best case scenario for indie horror, and a must play for any fan of their spooky stories being weird as heck and surprisingly emotional. Finding this a day before Halloween felt like unwrapping a Christmas present early, and my spooky little heart couldn't be more full. Thank you, Wrong Organ. I can't wait for more.
Polly says, another day in paradise. Yay!
Well, that's gonna do it for this one. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, all the normal shenanigans mean the world. Like, comment, subscribe, and share it with cool people. You can also support me by sending donations over Ko-fi, link in the description. See you next time.